Speaksies.
Sitting down for dinner, Wednesday night, nothing fancy happening, no formal guests, nothing. Look down at my plate, right next to it, there's a salad.
Welcome to Origin of Species. My name is Scott. I'm here with my friend Steve. And Steve, so you were just sitting at dinner and
I was surprised by a salad. I was not expecting that. And I'm fairly against salads.
Yeah.
You could say I was pro-vegetable.
Yeah, but
actually,
salads...
that's not true. That's not true. I'm not opposed to vegetables, and I'll eat them. But if I need to ingest vitamins or whatever stuff you get out of salad, I don't like salads. So, the people I'm eating dinner with, which is my wife and daughter, both should know pretty well by now.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Well, you're like one of those cat. Have you seen those videos of cats with being freaked out by cucumbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why cats and I are so close to each other.
That's true. That's true. I don't want to say it's irrational. It seems irrational on the cat part, and it seems a little irrational on your part too. If I'm being honest,
if you mean that by my wife, yeah, I agree with you because she knows me well enough now that I'm not gonna have a salad.
So is she? So what's the? I mean, I'm sure you confronted her about it.
No,
really.
No,
you just let it go.
I just stared at her for the entire dinner. No, it's part of the summer's over, school's back. You're getting in a routine.
Yeah.
You're not having cookouts every other day. So we always try to increase vegetable intake, just eat a little healthier. But I think she, you got to keep things interesting, and she tried.
Yeah, she
failed, but she tried. She put a salad out there. So, everything's fine at my house. I'm not sleeping in my car in front of your home.
Well, hold on. We skipped a very important detail.
Yeah.
Did you eat any of the salad?
No.
You didn't eat it?
No.
So she put out a salad.
She knew she was
Let's just read. Is this honest? This is a true story here.
Yeah.
All right. So she put out a salad, knowing that you don't eat salad. Like, you're very upfront about that. I'm not saying you say it as much as somebody that's vegan or whatever, but people know you don't.
Yeah,
you're like the anti-vegan.
Yeah.
But she knows that. She puts it out. You don't acknowledge it. You don't confront her about it.
Well, I acknowledged it. There was a lot
with a stink face. Yeah. And then you just proceeded to not eat the salad.
She knew what she was doing.
Okay.
But
she tried.
You got to keep things fresh and exciing, and she did. There was a sense of urgency and tension in a Wednesday dinner that we normally don't have. But
yeah, she was trying to tell you.
Her heart was in the right place, and the salad ended up in the right place too. It ended up in the garbage.
Yeah. Well, I think we've had a lot of discussion about salad. What are the idioms
Hot
tonight?
Salad talk.
Are we doing salad idioms or no?
Well, I think we've already done that historically.
Close. Yeah, we did. We did salad days and
Well, I was inspired by a movie I've been waiting to come out for a long time. A biography of one of my favorite actors, and this is not me being facetious. Mr. Rudy Ray Moore, star of Dolemite. There's a biography coming out starring Eddie Murphy as Rudy Ray Moore. I think that My Name is Dolemite is the name of the movie.
Yeah, it looks hysterical.
And it's because it's going to be awesome. So I don't know if you had the same experience that when you had kids, there was like a media cleansing in your home.
Yes, absolutely.
When
can't have this sitting out and get stumbled upon,
which I think is a good thing. And the movies are not objectionable in that sense, but they're just not the high level. They're in the kind of so bad that they're good,
right?
But also in the specific blaxploitation genre,
right? So you're sort of doing that thing where I guess all parents hopefully do, where you're starting to see you see yourself through your kids' eyes. Like how are they going to see me as a dad?
Yeah.
Do I want them finding my trove of blaxploitation videos?
Yeah.
What is that going to say about me?
Yeah.
Right. It's the same reason when you took down your you took down your Burt Reynolds stuff before being a dad. That was your nephew that was confused.
I think I was confusing him, and frankly I realized I was confused myself. I think I had to get rid of the Burt Reynolds posters because I couldn't have the house that sexually charged with like a new child. That's how she got here.
It's too sexy.
It was too sexy. So Rudy Ray Moore is best known for the film Dolemite. which I watched recently. It should be available on Amazon Prime right now, and I hadn't seen it.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies. Do you ever watch a movie and realize you didn't watch the whole thing, or you generally don't? It's one of those movies that gets. It's about 35 minutes worth of it's good, and the synopsis is a pimp is framed and put into jail.
Mm-hmm.
Logically, the FBI frees him to get the guy who put him into jail. When he leaves prison, he changes his clothes, has sex with 3 women, and then machine guns somebody.
Oh,
all of which is there's no consequences.
The cops couldn't have seen this coming.
Yeah. And it ends with him tearing out the heart, I believe, of his rival, or ripping his intestines out.
Are you serious?
Why would I make this up?
Well, I want to watch it. You did. So let me jump in and say that Steve is not exaggerating. There are a lot of movies that how make people watch movies. Steve has definitely sat me down in front of Dolemite before. I want to revisit it because it was probably like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
I had no patience for it.
But
you can see the boom mics coming down. It's like this is so bad.
See, the third star of the movie is the boom mic.
Yeah.
that spends a good portion of the time on screen with Mr. Rudy Ray Moore.
But the way you described it sounds pretty awesome. Okay, but the movie that's coming out with Eddie Murphy,
is about.
Eddie Murphy is like making a comeback or something, right?
Because
he's
on Comedians in Cars with Coffee. He's going to be on Saturday Night Live, and I'm just waiting. Hopefully, no one who has a Twitter account and is offended easily will watch Delirious or Raw. I keep waiting for the reckoning.
It'll happen because all of a sudden he's popping back up. People will put it out there.
Will not come back down.
But I think people are starting to not care. I think that Dave Chappelle thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was a bit of a game changer.
Yeah.
Because he's survived it. I mean, it's like...
Well, as of now. It could be if this airs in a week.
What's going to happen, though? I mean,
who knows?
Norm Macdonald has a show, which was the name of the Norm Macdonald has a show on Netflix. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He, unfortunately, I think got... That show was really funny, and Norm Macdonald's really funny, and I loved it. But it didn't, I don't think it did too well. And he sort of got torpedoed because of some of his comments he had made. And, old stuff come on. The stuff Norm Macdonald said is going to get him in trouble. But I think with like the Dave Chappelle stuff, I don't, what's he going to lose? He's already got this big deal with Netflix. So I think Eddie Murphy, I guess the only thing you can mess up is your legacy. I mean, Bill Cosby, if Hannibal Buress hadn't made that joke, very well may have just had a legacy and been remembered for...
Still got away with it.
Yeah, Puddin' Pops and the Negro College Fund, but it didn't turn out that way. So Eddie's taking a risk getting out there. But so Dolemite.
But talking about taking a risk, if you get a chance, watch Dolemite, but be warned, as somebody who is a true Rudy Ray Moore fan, everyone talks about Dolemite, but I'm going to also talk about some of his other movies as we go through. When he essentially plays the same character in different roles, but Dolemite's good for about the first 35 minutes, and then it just kind of meanders. So we'll also talk today too about the better sequel, Dolemite 2, The Human Tornado.
Okay.
His last movie, that came out in 1979, The Disco Godfather, and also my personal favorite, his third movie, Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law. Which is
you did make me watch some of that one too.
Yeah. And if you had to pick any to watch that. But Dolemite kind of grounds you. So we'll talk about that. So with that all being said, I wanted to go with a mineral theme. Dolemite also being a mineral, not just the name of the character.
I didn't know that. I thought Dolemite was just some made up name, but it's a mineral.
It is. It's an anhydrous carbonate mineral composed of calcium and magnesium carbonate, which when it comes down to minerals, magnesium and calcium as a carbonate, it's all right. I'm more of a just straight up calcium and fluoride guy. Those are my big minerals I go with.
I'm with you.
So I'm a little, I'm biased against salads. I'm a little biased on minerals. I'm a little picky about that. Calcium keeps the bone strong.
Sure.
Fluoride keeps the teeth looking good, keeps them strong. But that's...
What does Dolemite do for you? Like, does Dolemite have any practical application that you're aware of?
So Dolemite is mostly used as a ornamental stone and also can be used also as a limestone added to soils.
Okay.
So
that would be pretty cool, though. I want to like sell some Dolemite to people. Make Dolemite necklaces.
You could. So
why not?
Why not? Well, maybe there'll be a Rudy Ray Moore revival.
Renaissance,
now that,
man.
Dolemite is My Name is coming out hopefully soon on Netflix.
Buy Dolemite now because prices may be going up soon. All right, so
this leads to my first mineral-related idiom. It's a little bit like Rudy Ray Moore. Diamond in the rough. So diamond in the rough is something that means, according to Phrases UK, basically someone who's good-hearted but lacking social graces and respect for the law.
Oh.
They're a diamond, but they need some polish. Maybe is another way that you would say that. So this is an idiom that I think I might use every now and then. Like I kind of know it when I hear it, but I don't know how often I use it. Is this something that you use? Or?
I'm going to tell on myself. I think I've been using this one wrong my whole life. Like I thought that meant I guess it's a somewhat small distinction, but I thought it meant like finding a diamond in an area like where you wouldn't expect. You know what I mean? So
well, I've heard that too. I've heard finding a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, so it's like, but what you're saying though, you find the diamond in the rough. In the rough is the state it's in.
Correct.
That's not how I thought the rough was like, the metaphor with the diamond. I thought that meant like in some dirt or something. Well, like you found a diamond. Okay. I mean,
we've alluded to our past and the many violent experiences we've had at a 7-Eleven. So there's a chance that makes sense. You could find it behind.
And
we
had friends that played in dirt. As kids.
Yeah.
I didn't name names.
No, I was trying to think of which kid played in dirt.
Oh, I know.
There was the Dirt family.
Yeah, but there was the Dirt family, but then there's specific other family, and I will not say. I can't give any more hints.
Yeah, this time.
But it's sad. But there were some kids that just played in dirt.
Yeah,
maybe that's everywhere though.
But maybe no, it's not. But maybe they were diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, maybe. We should see what they're all up to now.
That's what Facebook's for. Facebook. Someone had told me that they have a problem now. This person was organizing like their 25th high school reunion, and that Facebook has kind of killed that. Because you know how what everyone looks like. You know who's fat. You know who got divorced. You know who's fat and divorced. You know who's fat and should be divorced. You kind of have that.
I feel very attacked right now, by the way. But I've thought about getting off Facebook completely. But then I think about how I look at people that aren't on Facebook.
Right.
And it's like they're either incarcerated or running from the law or a bunch of child support.
Or some combination of both.
Right,
I think
exactly.
You and I are thinking the same person
from high
school.
The total package of all those things.
Yeah. The Johnny Appleseed of penis.
Exactly. Yeah. It owes a lot of money to a lot of people. So
a lot of people.
So if I go off Facebook, people might think that about me. But then, I don't know. I don't have... You've got the best social media presence ever. You're very stoic. It might be the right word. I'm all over the place.
I try my best to keep a fake perception of what my life is. And
well, that's pretty much what everybody does.
Yeah, except I'm consistent with it. There's a smiling picture of it. Definitely was not taken at a dinner where salad was served. I will tell you that.
I'm sure. All right, so diamond in the rough.
Diamond in a rough. So a diamond in the rough, pretty clear where it comes back to. For this discussion, I'm going to use a summary that Phrases UK provided to us. The first recorded use in print is from John Fletcher's A Wife for a Month from 1624. And the quote is, "She is very honest and will be as hard to cut as a rough diamond." So John Fletcher, we will talk a little bit about him, and we'll talk a little bit about the play that was mentioned there.
It was a Wife for a Month,
which has
sounds like a reality show on Fox.
It could be, and there's a chance we'll get into that for a second. So a little bit about John Fletcher, who was a contemporary of someone you might have heard of, the Guy Fieri of his era, William Shakespeare.
Oh yeah.
So actually, John Fletcher was a playwright. He was part of the team called the King's Men. That Shakespeare
we've talked about that before. Yeah.
So, and he actually collaborated with Shakespeare.
Well, don't some people think I know I just cut you off. I'm sorry, but
Yes, sir.
that Shakespeare was not even a real person, that it was like a bunch of people
Right.
that, wrote stuff and they became this amalgam and became Shakespeare. Maybe. So he could have actually been part of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that conspiracy theory, but
I don't either. I only believe I've gone full circle, and I just believe in conspiracy theories that Prince believed in.
oh yeah.
So I'll have my chemtrails episode coming up here
Sweet.
sometime this year. But he worked with Shakespeare on Henry VIII, The Two Noble Kinsmen, and then a lost play, Cardenio, that was mentioned actually we know it's a real play because it's discussed in Don Quixote.
Ooh.
So first, let's talk about the play in question, A Wife for a Month.
Yes.
So A Wife for the Month settles on a character, a beautiful and chaste lady, who is lusted after by a king. The king wants her to be his mistress, and she refuses. He gets back at her by trying to force her to be married, and then threatens every man that will marry her to be killed if they consummate the marriage.
Okay.
Within the month. Hence the title, A Wife for a Month.
Oh.
So very dramatic. It seems to end well for,
Good.
but quite a
So yeah,
scene.
so
It's like The Bachelor and Running Man kind of like put together.
Exactly. So he decreed, if you marry her and you consummate within a month.
If you consummate at all, you're going to die within a month.
Oh, you're going to die within a month. Okay, I was going to say, you could wait it out.
And I think the idea is to basically have her have a series of men that she won't be able to consummate the marriage, and they're still going to die within a month anyway.
Probably.
Very, very dramatic. It is a play.
It is dramatic, and then she'll have no choice but to come back to the king and say, "Okay."
So quite a scene there with A Wife for a Month. I've never heard of that play, and don't think I really need to spend too much more time on it. However, I would be remiss if we're talking about Mr. John Fletcher and not to share some of the other titles of his plays.
Please.
The Woman's Prize, also known as The Tamer Tamed. See if you pick up on a theme.
Yeah, I'm already kind of getting something here.
Women Pleased.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds like a movie from the 70s that I would try to watch.
I know. It's
if
like
no one was coming down.
Lady Chatterley or something.
Rule a Wife and Have a Wife. That's a comedy. Rule a Wife.
Oh, Rule a Wife.
And Have a Wife. One title.
Okay.
The Woman Hater. Kind of puts it out there.
Yeah.
How we're feeling about that.
He's definitely got a genre that he's got his niche.
So he seems to me to be somewhere between an incel and also maybe a Lifetime movie, which is a weird Venn diagram. So I don't want to end too negative with him, but I will say, think about Women Pleased. That's a good name. That's a good modern.
I would say give the guy a chance. Let's check out the material, but he does have one that's just called Woman Hater or Women Haters, right? So
The Woman Hater.
The Woman Hater. So
but maybe that's one where he's woke and he's calling out that person saying, "Hey,
right,
that's not good."
The Woman Hater, and then it's like,
don't do that.
A very bad man.
Yeah.
Okay.
They called him out on ye old Twitter.
Yeah.
And got him canceled from his job.
Ye old tweets have resurfaced.
Yeah.
All right. Well, John Fletcher seems pretty interesting. So this is the first time we have it in writing. Is that right? Or
so that's where it comes from.
Okay.
And it also reminds me of my personal favorite diamond in the rough, Mr. Rudy Ray Moore.
Yes.
Otherwise known as Dolemite. My second favorite Dolemite movie is the sequel to Dolemite, The Human Tornado, which begins in a situation where Dolemite is having sex with the sheriff's wife. A little bit of a twist. The sheriff's wife is paying him to have sex with her. He then has to flee from the sheriff who is after him.
Yeah.
Because he murders his wife and then frames Dolemite.
Dolemite be getting framed. That's the second time in a row he gets framed. Yeah. So that's his motif.
That is. People are always trying to set him up. And you would think, he's a pimp that owns a nightclub.
Right.
And also has a stable of kung fu ladies.
Right. Last guy you want to frame. And by the way, the last time somebody framed him, he came out and machine gunned everybody.
Yeah, then tore someone's heart out, then tore someone's intestines out.
Right, but no, let's frame this guy again.
Yeah, but that's the guy you want to get. And I will say for as awful as the Kung Fu is in Dolemite, it's much improved in the Human Tornado.
Okay, good. Now, what's the boom-like situation in the Human Tornado?
It is not even. I would call it almost an extra in this. It was.
Okay.
It was like high build in the first movie,
Right.
but the boom mic isn't too much of a presence in this film. So, A Diamond in the Rough, Rudy Ray Moore. You can learn more about, and Dolemite is my name, which is coming out soon.
Looking forward to it.
So, other highlights from the Human Tornado include Rudy Ray Moore diving down a hill nude, and in case you're not sure if that's him nude, he points it out, kind of breaks the fourth wall, and they rewind the scene so you get to see his backside.
That's funny.
Going down a hill. And one of my personal favorite scenes from the movie is when he goes undercover as a door-to-door salesman who, I forget what he's selling, but it works to get into a mobster's wife's bedroom. And then during the act of love, he does such a good job that the ceiling collapses.
The ceiling?
On top of them.
Okay. I want to know what he's doing to make the ceiling collapse.
Well,
not the bed, not the floor.
Yeah.
The ceiling.
There's some, well, if you saw him dive down the hill, there's a lot of stuff moving around.
Yeah.
There could be
a
reason
question.
for that. Sure.
So the third one is P.D. Wheatstraw?
The Devil's Son-in-Law.
The Devil's Son-in-Law. Now, you can go through the whole plot if you want to, but I just
I'd love
question.
to.
Oh, are we doing that? Is that what's happening? Okay.
Give me a reason to.
Well, I just wanted to ask because I feel like this plot is a little bit Mad Libby here. With does he get framed?
Let me think. Does he get framed? No.
Okay.
He doesn't. P.D. Wheatstraw's one where they kind of break the mold.
I see.
And P.D. Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law, is the story of P.D. Wheatstraw, a comedian who was born during a hurricane. Everything I'm saying is what happens in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to be clear about that.
No offense, but I don't know if you could make this up if you wanted to.
I agree with you. So he was born during a hurricane. We see this as his mother gives birth to a watermelon and then gives birth to a 10-year-old boy who's wearing a diaper.
So the watermelon is on, not to be too gross, but it's like the placenta. No, because that doesn't even work that way.
It's a watermelon. I don't think any of this works that way. Again, I'm kind of telling you.
She gives birth to a watermelon and then to a 10-year-old boy.
Right. Who then punches the doctor and then assaults his father. For he says, you're the one that keeps messing with me every night.
Right. Okay.
And then Mrs. Wheatstraw slaps her son and tells him he's going to be very special.
Okay.
And he is. Because later in life, as he's a successful comedian, Leroy and Skillet come to town. And Leroy and Skillet are played by Leroy and Skillet in the movie. So there's some I think very inspired casting.
I would like to point something out. Mm-hmm. Steve has not looked at notes over the last few minutes. This is all he knows this by heart. He's as engaged as I've ever seen him on the podcast and has not even glanced at a note. So
Leroy and Skillet are pretty upset that they're opening a nightclub, but P.D. Wheatstraw is going to be in town and no one's going to go to their nightclub. So what they do is what I think a lot of people will do in a competitive business situation. They have P.D. Wheatstraw murdered.
Right. So what you could have done is maybe tried to somehow work out a collaboration or something, or just maybe you have an off night.
But collaboration's a good word because after P.D. Wheatstraw is murdered,
they actually murder him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it is P.D. Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-law. I'm going to explain how we get to that part. So about that time, a gentleman in a red sweatsuit named Lou runs up. Lou, and that's how what he's called in the movie is Lou. Mm-hmm. Asked P.D. Wheatstraw if, in exchange for bringing him back and giving him a magic pimp cane, if he would marry his ugly daughter.
Okay, so it's a little Faustian here.
Yeah, except with a little bit more Leroy and Skillet.
A little more pimp. Did you say it was a pimp?
It was a magic pimp cane.
A magic pimp cane.
And again, everything I'm saying is, and I've been looking you in the eyes the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Which I feel kind of weird. I think our relationship has expanded.
Have you told how many times have you told this story? Because you're telling it like.
Well, it's captivating. It's one of those stories it's you hear it and.
All right. How many times have you watched this movie?
Well, just once or twice.
Okay.
It absorbs, and I'm not going to give any more away.
Oh, so it's like when reading Rainbow, you got to read the rest of the book to find out.
You need to go download P.D. Wheatstraw the Devil's Son-in-Law.
just to wrap up,
Yeah.
We've done 15-minute summary of the first 3 Rudy Ray Moore movies, but Steve's going to leave you hanging there.
Well, and we will definitely touch on the Disco Godfather before we're done. So speaking of the Disco Godfather, there's a tentative connection here. I'd say to our next mineral-related idiom: draw a line in the sand.
Now, how is there a connection from draw a line in the sand to the Disco Godfather? Or are you gonna save that?
I'll kind of lead to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it there. So draw a line in the sand. Is this a phrase or idiom you've heard or used?
Yes. I mean, draw a line in the sand is something I've used my whole life, and it just means, hey, I've taken it up to this point. I'm drawing a line in the sand. Mm-hmm. You're either with me or against me.
Right.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's versatile.
Yeah, and I like the with me or against me. That kind of gets into that. So the phrase was not originated by this person, but it was used prominently by George Bush in the first Gulf War. So he's kind of the Disco Godfather, I think, of American presidents. When I think Disco Godfather, I don't think of someone from the 70s like Gerald Ford or Jimmy Carter. I kind of think of George Bush. George H.W., the Disco Godfather. Okay. So for the origin of this, we're going to go to our friend William Safire in his On Language column. So this column in particular addresses this, comes out around the time of the First Gulf War, which I believe prompted him to discuss this. And this line is also used, if it sounds a little bit familiar, I believe in The Big Lebowski. You hear George Bush say it, and then the dude reinterprets it several times, I believe, throughout the movie. The first recorded use was seen in the trial of a gentleman by the name of Fish Palmer in 1793, but not used, as he puts it, not in defilement, but in puzzlement. It is difficult to draw a line. I don't really agree with that as a statement, particularly as I've seen it. We haven't mentioned this as much, but this is one of those ones I remember very distinctly watching cartoons, and you would see Bugs Bunny draw a line and have people stand over and over. Yep. Which makes me think it gets to the other use of the origin, which goes back to the Alamo.
Oh, cool.
So shout out to Texas, as we always, anytime we get a chance to say something about Texas, one of our favorite places.
Don't mess with it.
And don't mess with it, and always remember the Alamo.
Yeah.
Just like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, the stars at night are big and bright. One of my Thank you.
You're welcome.
You did it.
So during the Siege of the Alamo in 1836, there's a legend that the survivor, William Barrett Travis, drew a line in the ground or sand and said, "Those prepared to die for freedom's cause come cross to me."
Hell yeah.
So I do like that. But there's another origin that's listed that I've seen that I don't think is true, but I like it because it's just a good story. I found this on worddetective.com, and I don't think they originated this. I believe they got it from somewhere else, but just for time's sake, I'll discuss this. So they trace it back to a story during the time of the Roman Empire. An army was met at the border by a lone Roman senator named Papias Linnaeus, who ordered the king to withdraw. In order to stall, Papias Linnaeus drew a circle in the sand around the king and demanded that the king withdraw his army before he stepped out of the circle. So the king was impressed and stood away. And the story's not as good now that I've said it out loud.
No, it is good. It worked. So it was like having the guts to do that.
It's kind of, Mm-hmm. He's like, well, if you can do that, what else can you do?
Yeah.
And somebody else that can really do something was the Disco Godfather.
Yeah.
So in a little bit
George Bush or the one from fiction?
The one from fiction.
Okay.
Or is it? So in Rudy Ray Moore's final movie, The Disco Godfather, takes a little bit of a turn. Instead of your typical blaxploitation, he really doesn't play the Dolemite character. Even when he's Petey Wheatstar, he's pretty much Dolemite.
So he went a little more subtle, but it's called the
I would
Disco...
never...
Okay.
Rudy Ray Moore,
yeah,
subtle, should never be in the same sentence.
Yeah.
So in this movie, he's a retired cop who does what most retired cops do. Becomes a DJ at a popular disco club. And he is the Disco Godfather, or the Godfather of the Disco, as is repeated incessantly for the first several minutes of the theme song that plays in the beginning of the Disco Godfather, where we hear that he's the Godfather of the Disco, and he extols everyone there to put their weight on it. Put their weight on it.
Okay.
Put their weight on it.
That didn't really catch on, did it?
It should have. If you've seen it, and I'm not going to try to match Rudy Ray Moore's enthusiasm.
But that's part of the song. Put your weight on it.
That's him shouting over the song.
Okay.
For people to
so
put
he's
their
doing
weight
like
on
the
him.
DJ Khaled. Another one, but it's
no.
Put
Rudy
your weight
Ray
on
Moore
it.
is much more talented.
I'm sorry. I take it back.
I forgive you.
All right. Put your weight on it. 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 I'm the Godfather, and my name is Tucker. Everybody knows that I'm a bad brother.
And it's also in a bit of a break from his other films. It's kind of a lot like a very special episode about PCP. So his nephew, Bucky, I believe his nephew's name was, who is the actor who later becomes Emperor Sho'nuff in The Last Dragon. He's a burgeoning basketball star until he has angel dust or PCP. And it's not good.
It's ripped from the headlines.
It is. And my favorite part of it is you find out at some point that his name is Tucker. But as he goes back to the police station...
Wait, Bucky's name is Tucker? Or the Disco Godfather?
The Disco Godfather's name is Tucker.
Okay, that's my fault, yeah.
But one of my favorite parts of the movie is people consistently refer to him as Disco Godfather, including his old police officer friends.
So let's just break this down. You serve on the force with a guy for 40 years. Mm-hmm. He's getting too old for this and he retires, becomes a Disco Godfather, and now everyone just casually refers to him as the Disco Godfather. Okay, I'm with you.
In keeping with Dolemite tradition, he is going to put his weight on it and put his weight on someone's face. So he gets out there and starts to handle business.
Oh wait, so this gets violent?
Yes, it gets violent.
But I thought this was going to be the first one with
But it actually has kind of a cliffhanger ending where the Disco Godfather has been exposed to PCP, and you kind of don't know how it ends, how things go for him.
Whoa, so he kind of gets it like in Training Day from Denzel, or so he gets snuck, because he wouldn't have taken it on purpose.
No, there's someone straps a gas mask on him and does that.
Good Lord, was it a rival DJ? Because this is how these seem to go. Was it Leroy? And who's the other guy?
Leroy and Skillet.
Yeah.
No, they didn't make it into this movie.
Okay. He probably killed him in the last one.
So if I had to recommend first of all, Petey Wheatstraw, definitely.
So
Number
you
2,
have to see the first two to appreciate Petey?
No,
okay.
not at all.
So you're not
You're
not
not
a lot of
missing
unanswered questions or anything.
No.
Okay.
But one thing I don't want to leave unstated about the Disco Godfather is there's an actor by the name of Jimmy Lynch plays a character named Sweetmeat in it. So maybe that's where Sweetmeat Nixon came from.
What do you mean maybe that's where Sweetmeat? you know every character in this by heart.
Yeah.
So
well, good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sweetmeat Nixon comes back.
Yeah.
And we now know the origin of Sweetmeat Nixon.
Yeah. So there we go. Thank you, Rudy Ray Moore.
Thank you, Rudy Ray Moore. And thank you, Steve.
Yeah. So,
I was riveted. I really was. That was awesome.
So my final idiom, mineral related, in our tribute to Rudy Ray Moore is salt of the earth.
I love this one.
Okay.
I love this one. So this is from the, well, am I going to spoil it if I say this?
No, it's
this
a
pretty
Bible, straightforward.
Right?
It's from the Bible.
Yeah.
But I will think one of the reasons I want to bring this up is it's you enjoy.
I love using this one because I only bring it out very rarely for people that I think are just the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's somebody that I just say that person or that couple, they're just the salt of the earth. Right. I really reserve it for people I think are tremendous people.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually one that I will take the opposite view on. That I actually really dislike this one.
Okay.
So it is something I hear a lot. And first of all, it does come from the Bible. It's from Matthew 5:13. This is the King James Version. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? Basically, what's the point of salt if it doesn't have any salt power in it?
Yeah.
So the reason I don't like it is I like the way that you put the context of using it. Most of the time I hear people use the term salt of the earth. It is I've seen it unintentionally like condescending to somebody. You don't tell somebody, or not you, most of the time I've seen it used, it's not with someone on it. You're speaking of someone below your social level.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you refer to them as, oh, I like these people. They're the salt of the earth.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of like a folksy thing. I'm gonna sort of.
It's kind of.
I'm putting them in their place as lower than me.
Yeah.
I would have never thought of it
Not
that
to
way.
say that you use it that way, but most of the time where I see that used, it's in some sort of way that's not intentionally condescending. But
That's
a lot of
so
times,
interesting how different we are on that, because I really only use it when I really think a lot of someone, but maybe other people don't.
Or
so
maybe
that's good to know.
you just think you're better than everybody
Maybe I
else.
am. I do feel like I come across as very arrogant on the show and just in life. So that could be it.
And such a hater of vegetable and animals. So someone, but I will use your inspiration.
Please.
And I will discuss someone I think was the salt of the earth.
Actually, before you go there, one more thing I just thought about with Salt of the Earth. I was trying to think to myself, why would Steve not like this? And I was like, salt isn't really good for the earth, right?
Right.
Like, so why would we say that?
That's a very good point. And Phrases UK brings that up, that it's kind of a phrase that conflicts with other uses of the word salt. Because, if you salted somebody's field, you destroy it.
It's going to kill it.
So. And I've always taken it just kind of the context of it is just meant salt of the earth. You're the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it means and everything. But it's just, that's another thing that kind of doesn't make sense. And it makes you think, we get this a lot with idioms where we just say these things and don't really think them through until when you do a podcast about it. You really do have to think it through. So, but I cut you off. You were saying, when you think about the salt of the earth,
I think of Mr. Rudy Ray Moore. And a lot of what I'm going to mention here is actually from his obituary, which is in the New York Times, which after all the crazy stuff we said about him, it's very interesting to think that this guy had an obituary in the New York Times. So Rudy Ray Moore was born Rudolph Frank Moore, March 17th, 1927 in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Very interesting life. Moved to Cleveland when he was 15, won a talent contest, was drafted in 1950 to the Army, performed as the Harlem Hillbilly, singing country songs in an R&B style.
Is this the same Rudy Ray Moore that we're talking about? Okay.
He had a life. After the Army, he performed as a turban dancer named Prince Dumar.
Okay.
From there, several years after that, as his career continued, he became a comedian. And if I will air quote that. Now, I think I've established myself as a Rudy Ray Moore fan. I've listened to some of his comedy albums. They are not good.
No.
I will name a couple of the titles that stand out, and you can imagine where these go. Below the Belt, Eat Out More Often, The Cockpit, Sensuous Black Man, which, by the way, was almost the name of this podcast.
Well, I think he and John Fletcher need to do a collab, if anything.
I can't believe I ate the whole thing.
Oh, come on. Jeez.
And if you get a chance to Google any of these, the album covers are the term double entendre. This is just entendre.
Right, it's a Two Live Crew.
AC/DC would hear these things and go, "Where's the subtlety?
Right.
Where's the nuance in it? There's nothing to it."
Who's the band that did Balls to the Wall? Except would feel that way too.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tribute to Rudy Ray Moore. What a life. I wonder how much they're going to cover. I feel like we're doing an ad for this movie basically, but I am curious how much they're going to cover in what's the name of the Eddie Murphy movie coming out?
Dolemite Is My Name.
Dolemite Is My Name. In theaters.
Or more like in Netflix.
Oh, that's right.
And with the wonderful Netflix style, it'll be here sometime this fall.
Yeah,
it'll just emerge.
They need to do these things, and I think comedies are best seen in theaters. A lot of them I'm okay with. I don't know. I like theaters. It makes me mad when they don't put. Did you hear The Irishman? And not to completely go off, but The Irishman is not going to come out in theaters. The Scorsese one.
I thought they were putting it out for like a day.
That's what they were going to do. Well, the last I saw is that they couldn't get any deals. They couldn't get anything that made sense financially, and they just said bump it. It was like a headline about a week ago that they're not doing it at all. So, anyway, I have loved this podcast episode, Steve. You've taken us on a journey with Rudy Ray Moore. I think we've learned something.
And in the words of Rudy Ray Moore, eat out more often.
Hi, this is Scott. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you. If you get a chance, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a rating and review, tell a friend about us, or multiple friends. Also, we have a new podcast coming out called True Facts with Robert Banquet. You can catch that October 9th. Go ahead and subscribe now so you don't miss the first episode. Robert is an amateur historian, but he seems to have a lot of really good insights that I think you'll enjoy. Once again, thanks for listening. Ye old tweets have resurfaced.
Speaksies.
We were listening to Cold Day in Hell, and this song in particular, I remember I was just completely befuzzled by the fact that Mike would even think about quitting.
Right.
And then I was trying to think, well, it means I'm not going to be in a band with him anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not going to, the Alligators, we're probably not going to be able to play again because he's leaving. And I understood the reasons he was leaving, and everything has to come to an end. But that song, and he has this long guitar solo right up front, and and then his vocals cut in, and his vocals are just so stark. They're just powerful, and you feel the hurt in him.
You're breaking my heart, man. So that was kind of like a breakup when you heard from Mike. It kind of felt like, I mean, no, but really, it's sucks because you start having that moment where you're going, oh, I didn't know this was coming, and now this is kind of over. It won't be the same if we do keep going. And meanwhile, you're on this was in college, so you're on your dorm room bed, tears just leak. I don't mean to make light of it, not tears, but maybe it was tears, but you're just feeling like you're hearing this song and you're hearing Otis Rush's voice, and you're never going to forget that.
Yeah. So it's that bittersweet memory. Yeah, I hadn't thought about the whole breakup thing, right? You're breaking my heart,
right?
And there ain't a darn thing I can do. And so I hadn't thought about that as like a breakup song and tied to the breakup of the band. I just remember, I just love that song anyway, right? Mm-hmm. And tying it to that, it just happened to be playing at that moment when I realized it. And it was
well, it could have been, you could have been listening to, Immigrant Song or something, and you probably still have that memory, right? But it adds a little bit of poeticness to it that it. And I don't know all the lyrics to it, but the name of the song is "You Break My Heart." And not saying you had your heart broken, but it definitely. People think of heartbreak as just being in a relationship with a romantic partner, but not really.
Absolutely,
we have friends. It's when you realize. I mean, I don't know why this popped into my head. I'm thinking about when I knew I was playing my last baseball game in high school. And I sat in my car with my mom, and I just broke down in tears.
Yep.
And I go, I'm never gonna do that again because I love baseball. And I was like, it kind of feels like a breakup with something.
You're breaking my heart, baby. And there ain't a darn thing I can do.
Two Time is my number one favorite.
Oh, okay. I love it too.
Two Time.
It's got a good groove to it, that beat.
It is a jam.
Yeah.
And, it talks about relationships, but it's still like, I just like jam out to it in the car.
Right.
It's got an amazing beat. It's got an amazing hook, a synthy, poppy.
Yeah. It's almost like dubsteppy.
Dubsteppy.
Mm-hmm.
It's my number one. Like if I just want to let loose, I just love it.
To me, my favorite song would be Arriving Somewhere Not Here.
Uh-huh.
To me, that's Porcupine Tree. Ackerfeld does a awesome solo at the end. But to me, it's 10 minutes long.
I was about to say that's. So do you remember I said
you can't put that as a single.
And I'm not making this up. You remember I said this at work. We work together, and I said there's a prog classic on this album. That's the one I was talking about.
Oh yeah,
it's a damn good prog 10-minute epic.
To me,
song.
That song comes on if you're driving down 64, 29, where it just like kind of transports you, into another place, and you just lose track of time. I think it's a great album.
It's got everything.
A great song.
It's got everything. It's got the solo. It's got movements. It's just like
yes,
it's a beautiful song.
It is.
Never stop the car on a drive in the dark.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine?
That was a good time to be in middle school, music-wise.
Yeah, definitely.
You can do a lot worse than grunge and alternative and Green. Like you mentioned Green Day Dookie, so.
I actually have a kind of good story about that because my brother's younger than me. So, of course, we're reading the words and finding out all the words to the songs. And so we both go up to my mom and we're like, what's a whore?
Yeah. So that would be from Basket Case.
Yes.
And it's also a confusing song for a young conservative Christian like myself hearing, I believe, if I remember correctly, the words were, I went to a whore, she said my life's a bore, so quit your whining because you're bringing him down.
Yeah.
They changed pronouns in it.
Yes.
That was very confusing for me.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? And then, now it's like, oh, okay.
I went to a whore, he said my life's a bore, so quit my whining cause it's bringing her down.
But even like lyrics like I feel so.
Oh yeah.
So I feel so mad. I feel so angry. Feel so calloused. And I'm 11 and I have nothing to be mad, angry, calloused about.
I keep forgetting you were 11
and,
when you heard this.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that grew on me as time. And I was like, they started to mean more. Because they meant so much to me because I had attached myself to the people and to the identities of like Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker. Like those are my heroes already.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, as I'm growing up, as I'm coming into my own, I'm like, oh no, they're speaking my truth.
Yeah.
Is that you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean.
Like, dude, Tom DeLonge wrote my gospel. Okay. And that's all it is. And
I mean that was like Eddie Vedder for me, man.
Yeah,
it's like
dude.
it's you have these feelings, and that's what good music does. And that's exactly what I'm going for with this podcast.
Yeah.
It's like our emotional connection to this music. How so many people have that, and I don't think we ever really talked about it, but that you have these feelings and emotions as a kid, things you're going through, and you hear some person that's already you have all this respect for, and you just think and then they're saying stuff that you like, dude, I feel that way too.
Sometimes I wish I was smart. I wish I made cures for how people are. I wish I had power. I wish I could lead.
Hi, this is Scott from Origin of Species. I'm excited to announce Personal Records. Personal Records is a podcast that explores the relationships between people and the albums they love. Go to speaksies.com/personalrecords for more information.